Hey guys, I'm on chapter 4 of the GollyWhopper games. It starts on page 20. The wind had blown his sleeping bag a little, but all his gear was still there. Gil took a deep breath, folded his yellow card, shoved it into the depths of the front of his pocket. He flopped down, looking toward the stadium, toward the masses in front of him, until a laugh shot out from behind him. Gil turned to focus on long, white blonde hair, then shocking pink fingernails. The girl spun around as if she knew his eyes were boring holes into her willowy shoulders. He looked down, picked at a thread on his duffel. "Hi," Gil heard her say. "Hello, are you deaf?" Gil looked up. "Who, me?" "Yeah, you. I don't have eyes in the back of my head, so I'm usually talking to whoever I'm looking at. Maybe I'll call you Freckles." Gil smiled. "Or Dimples." Gil smiled harder, scrambled to his feet. "Anyway, hi, I'm Bianca LeBlanc. Do you like it? My name, I mean. My real name is Betsy Jo Hammermeister, but have you ever heard of a supermodel named Betsy Jo Hammermeister? That's what I want to be, a model and an actress. Wouldn't it be great if I won?" She threw open her arms, gave a laugh. "They couldn't resist putting me in all of their commercials. Me, Bianca LeBlanc. Anyway, do you like it? It means white the white. In 2 different languages, Italian and French, I think. I thought the name matched my hair. So what do you think?" Gil breathed her in, perfume and all. He wanted to ask if she ever took a breath when she talked, if she had always been this beautiful, or if that blonde guy next to her was her boyfriend or her brother. Instead, he managed to say, "Yeah, I like your name. It's catchy." "Oh, good. What's your name? Do you have a name?" "Gil. Just Gil? Like those famous people with one name?" Gil laughed. "Gil Goodson." "Hi, Gil Goodson. Double G. That's what I'll call you. This is my cousin Kurt. He's 21, way too old for the games. But he was at my house the night we found out. My mom couldn't bring me here because of work, and my dad's off somewhere in New Mexico. And I started crying because I wanted to be here to get discovered. So I promised Kurt I'd pay for gas and give him 10% of anything I won. And here we are. Right, Kurt?" Kurt gave half a wave like he was used to Bianca grabbing all the attention. Bianca adjusted her orange bikini top. "So what's your story?" "His story?" Gil almost laughed, but he shrugged instead. "No story, not really. You have to have a story. Everyone has a story. At least that's what Oprah said. I'm here to get famous." She pointed to the ABC camera. "They've already talked to me. So has Fox." She glanced over at the MTV camera. "They're next. So how old are you, Double G?" "I'm 15. 12 suddenly felt babyish. "I'll be 13 soon, if 3 months was soon." She looked him up and down. 13, that's all? You're almost tall as me. Great biceps. I would have thought you were closer to my age." If the rims of Gil's ears burned any brighter, they'd glow like a neon sign. Did you catch that? Like a neon sign? It's a simile. "Anyway," she said, apparently oblivious to his ears, "we drove 408 miles just on the highway, and I'm so glad we're finally here." Bianca stopped long enough to breathe. "So, Gil," she said, "why are you alone?" "My parents are coming after work," he said, practically drooling over the thought of the food they'd bring. He'd forgotten to eat breakfast. "Do you know what time it is?" Bianca held up her wrist. "My watch is somewhere in my suitcase in the car. I didn't want to get a tan line, but Kurt has a watch." "Kurtie!" Kurt had drifted toward a few guys further back in line. He motioned Bianca over. "Hold on, I'll go find out," she said. When it looked like she'd planted herself with Kurt near the MTV camera, Gil decided to chance leaving his stuff for just 3 minutes to get a slice of pizza and a soda. He decided, if he died of starvation, he couldn't play anyway. He reached into his back pocket to pull out his What? Who robbed? No, the money was in his shorts in the bathtub. He couldn't run home and leave the line for that long. He'd have to distract himself until his parents came, which, looking at the sun, was more than 4 hours away. He unrolled his sleeping bag, then watched the Goodyear blimp cruise overhead. It reminded him of one of those Golly picnics when he was about 7. After dinner, they'd had mini blimps circling the park grounds, occasionally dropping toys from their underbellies. All the kids chased them around for hours, until a parade of waiters carried out cakes that seemed to shoot fireworks from the icing. And that was just a usual Golly picnic, so what would 50 years of celebration be like? How Gil wanted to know. He couldn't sit anymore. He got up, jumped, jiggled his arms, waggled his head, just in time for Kurt and Bianca to come back and see. She looked at Gil like he was nuts. "Don't go spastic on me." "I'm just nervous about getting in," he said. "I want to know." Bianca grabbed his hand. Come on, Double G. Kurt will watch our stuff. Won't you, Curdy? Sure. Bianca pulled Gil behind her. Let's see if we can find out how many people with real tickets haven't registered yet. They stopped and watched an NBC person interview a kid. Why are you watching this? Asked Gil. We're not, she said. We're waiting for the TV people, see what they know. Gil knew one thing. He wasn't comfortable in Media Land. He didn't want to be spotted by the local stations, didn't want them to bother him about the past. Gil darted his attention all around, ready to make a quick getaway if somebody should come storming up to him. A glint of steel from a wheelchair blinded him for a second. Gil blinked. Was that who he thought it was? I'll be back, Bianca, he said. He might know. Who, that old guy? Yeah, old man GollyWhopper. Stay here. Bianca apparently didn't listen because she was right behind Gil, weaving around people and chairs and tents until they were walking alongside the wheelchair. The old man kept cruising, chuckling like he'd just remembered the funniest joke he'd ever heard. Well, isn't that something, young Goodson, he said. Isn't this something? Whoo, boy, I hope you're playing in my games. I hope you take that dang loony son of mine for every nickel he's handing out. Or you are playing. If I can get in, said Gil. Do you know how many people they're taking from this line? Nobody at my company tells me anything anymore. I think I should shrivel up and go away. Oh, they think I should shrivel up and go away. Old man GollyWhopper turned to Bianca. Are you playing too, or are you one of those girls from TV? I wish, said Bianca. You should be on TV. Next time you see me, young Goodson, remind me to tell Bert he needs to hire her. But don't get your hopes up, young lady. My son won't listen to me. He didn't listen to me about your father, young Goodson. Went on with that foolhardy trial. Yes, sir, said Gil, sorry he'd come up to the old man. We need to... Old man GollyWhopper aimed his wheelchair at Gil and stopped. Remember when I practically ran my wheelchair over a dozen people to see what happened at the end of the trial, young Goodson? I had a lot to say, and I still remember every word. Ha! Gil liked the story, but he didn't need Bianca to hear every word. I think, yes, sirree. Remember, young Goodson, I told Bert that any fool could see he'd been wasting time and money trying to hang the wrong fellow, and that he had better get his facts straight if he wanted to keep running my company. Old man GollyWhopper shook his head. Do you remember what my own son said to me? He didn't wait for Gil to answer. He said, It's not your company anymore, Dad. And I reminded him I started my company with a nickel and an idea, so if I wanted to call it my company, I could dang well call it my company. He grabbed Gil's wrist and looked him in the eye. Then he wouldn't give your father his job back. Gil shook his head. My dad said he didn't want his job back, remember? Waste of talent, waste of talent. Gil glanced at Bianca, hoped she'd been sidetracked by another TV camera, or at least that the conversation had confused her. It didn't look that way, though. Well, sir, said Gil, we need to go. Yes, you do. I don't want anyone to think that I'm sharing company secrets with you. But before you leave, you need to promise me something. Promise me that I'll see you at headquarters on Saturday. Promise. I can only try. That's as good as a promise. The old man GollyWhopper reached up and thumped Gil's back. Attaboy, and he wheeled off. And exactly who is that old guy? Bianca asked. He started all of this, Gil said, 50 years ago today. You mean the games? No, the company. That's old man GollyWhopper, Thaddeus G. GollyWhopper, founder of Golly Toy and Game Company. And he actually knows you, personally? Her green eyes were wide open. You do have a story. Spill. Gil started walking. It's old stuff. Boring. Didn't sound boring. Bianca reeled ahead and blocked Gil's path. Details. Now. It was nothing, he lied. Somebody accused my dad of trying to steal money from Golly, but he was found not guilty. And he didn't do it, that's all. Then what? Bianca pointed behind Gil. Ooh, Game Show Network. Let's go. Gil let her drag him from one camera to the next until he'd had enough. He found his way back to the tree, plopped into his sleeping bag, laid down, sighed. If only.